you got to really just be in it. And if you're not in it, then it's not for you. And that's with anything. Like as a painter, if I'm not in it, then I shouldn't be doing it anymore. I should just hang up my brushes.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Yo. Oh my God, dude, that is dope. The block.
Man, thank you so much, Justin. Like, I think I got goosebumps thinking about this, but for me, like, I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you as a person, but then two, just like experiencing your art. And now you've literally like completed the cycle of my life of real estate, hip hop as a huge fan with Nipsey Hussle, and then Yoda on the block, which, I'm wondering which house is his. I feel like he's got to be chilling on there.
Yeah, Yoda's way down the block.
Yeah.
A little bit more in the ghetto. No, I'm kidding. But it's magical. It's a magical world where hip hop definitely interface with the future and the powers and the force, because that's what hip hop is. Hip hop almost feels to me sometimes like it's not of this world, it's otherworldly, because it's so beautiful, it's so powerful, and ultimately it's a culture that was completely started and run by kids. Kids started hip hop. That's a very weird thought. B-boying, MCing, DJing, graffiti writer were all kids who were really almost under 20 years old. He started this culture. So it has kind of this force to it that only a child would have, because they're so imaginative, because every child is an artist. That's what Picasso said. Child is an artist.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And so, you grew up in New York, and now did you start out as an artist, or you started in the b-boy world?
I was always an artist. I was always a painter. I was a graffiti artist. I wasn't a good graffiti artist, but I rocked a lot of black books, bombed some trains, did some murals. But I was really into characters.
Yeah.
I was into drawing people in my neighborhood and my world. My grandfather was a artist. He was a letterer. He did Prince Valiant, Feel It Cat.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. He worked a lot with Frankie Frazetta. But b-boying was much more, much closer to my heart, and I really got deep into it.
Sure. I got into kind of like the popping and locking scene kind of in the rave scene. I was growing up in like when I was probably like 18 to 21, really trying to get into a lot. And I realized that I was actually watching videos of you, which is kind of crazy, because I'd go on the internet and I'd like try to see kids doing different stuff and whatnot. And so kind of like full circle, as far as like, I've always enjoyed hip hop. I grew up in the East Coast as well. So I was a huge, kind of Biggie fan, Busta fan. Kind of, to me, that was my golden era of hip hop. And so kind of with that, like, I've always enjoyed kind of going to the club, dancing, but then just the feeling of being in the middle of the circle and just trying to kind of leave it all out there, and kind of then just looking around, and it didn't necessarily know there were people from all different levels, but ultimately you were just all there on the same field of just kind of vibe. Absolutely. And so that's something that you probably didn't necessarily know, is like,
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
You were more into popping?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Versus I could never, I never had the body strength to actually do any sort of like breakdancing, but absolutely everything from like popping to even kind of like liquid to like moonwalking, kind of stuff like that. And so it's crazy. It's like, I've just thoroughly enjoyed everything that kind of music brings, and how music brings people together. And then the other thing too that I think that brings people together is homes, right? In real estate. What was your thought process of like creating something like the block? Because to me, being in real estate, like I just love the vibe of it, essentially.
Well, a lot of artists do landscapes, and I like to do cityscape, because that's where I'm from. I'm from the Upper West Side of New York, what we like to call the Upper Best Side of New York. And there was a grittiness, a rawness, but a realness and a warmth. And so all the cityscapes that I create have a warmth. That's why the block is in sunlit, backlit. It's wrought in with heat. It's that summer temperature, but it feels homey. Even though it feels gritty, Like people are hanging their laundry outside, but the lights are on. There's definitely people partying and they're having the best time ever.
Dude, it's phenomenal. I mean, I love kind of like you said, like the sun kind of popping through and whatnot. Obviously you grew up in New York, but now you're a Texas resident.
Yes.
Now, welcome to Texas, first and foremost. And then, why Texas?
Texas is, it's in the middle. So kind of like how I am, in many ways. And, I've been in New York half my life, LA the other half of my life. For me, it was really about getting out of the city and getting into some land and taking time to have some reprieve and relax, even though I don't do that at all. But it's more of a meditative, spiritual thing where I could just sit and be out in the middle of nowhere and be cool with it. I don't have to go down to the parties or the bodega or anything. There's nothing around me.
Right.
I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. And so I'm cool with it.
Well, and I'd imagine somebody like yourself who's seen, almost probably just about everything from what New York's got to offer, LA's got to offer. And now it's you probably don't feel like you're missing out on too much. You're able to have space. You can spread out. You got multiple acres. Yep. I know you're building studios. You've got a pool now, and
yeah, that's right. I don't have to share the YMCA. It's cool. Like 50 kids.
Well, and the other dope thing too, though, is not having to pay state income tax.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that on camera, but I like what California franchise tax for. Good people.
Shout out to the California.
I'll tell you this, Paul, and you probably know this more than anybody.
Yeah.
Texas is very business friendly.
Yeah.
I don't believe that California is business friendly. It is very difficult to be a small-time entrepreneur, not a massive corporation, and to succeed. Look at even Elon. Elon's out here for a reason, right? So I just think that in Texas, the mindset is that they want people to succeed.
Yep. Because
it's better for the economy. It's the 5th largest economy in the world. Technically, if we were to succeed, we would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
We would be independent. That being said, I feel like there are other places that do not encourage small businesses. I just think that, or the arts in general. So.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely some states that have more kind of pro-business initiatives than others.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is definitely one of those states. The amount of incentives that they give for companies to move here. Also, there's a fun fact that there's no other city in the world that has more college students in a 100-mile radius than Austin, Texas.
Interesting. See what they do with their degrees.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. But having said that, it provides at least a kind of almost like a petri dish of growth, essentially, because companies essentially they're going to want to be able to hire a labor force that's educated. And right now, Central Texas is kicking out the most in the world, essentially, which is great.
Yeah, I could see that. Texas is massive. It's vast. It's got a variety of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Except great Vietnamese restaurants, but otherwise
we're working on that.
Yeah,
and Bernie specifically,
Bernie has nothing.
By the way, I think no offense, I think we might need to put one there.
Honestly, you put a juice bar in Bernie, or you put anything in Bernie that like on the organic side. Vietnamese, Japanese. You put anything like that.
We know it'll be. Hey, look, right. I think we should start looking at land in downtown Bernie.
Yeah,
maybe purchase something where. Maybe we start it. We create the Bernie culture, if you will.
There's definitely a culture, but a barbecue.
Yeah.
I don't think that I think there's a lot of people that would love that.
Yeah.
That would love a great Vietnamese spot, a great Japanese spot, a great juice bar, smoothie bar that's not like Jamba Juice. We have Smoothie King.
Yeah. Very commercial.
And I thought it was organic, and I went in because I read that it was organic, and I asked the girl, and she was, no, but it's natural. I was like, is it organic or not? We get our stuff from HEB. I was like, in the organic section? She was like, I have no idea. I was like, exactly. Creatine powders everywhere. It's just that it's a phenomenal town, but if it had more diversity foods, there's an audience for it because they have the money for it.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. Bernie, the new Marfa.
I don't think people from Bernie would want to hear that. And in many ways, neither would I. But in terms of the food, sure. If we're talking food centric, definitely. Because Marfa's got some good spots.
Oh yeah. I mean,
got some good food for sure.
Absolutely.
But Austin is the best.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Austin's like neighborhood sushi, you know, what were you saying?
Sipfa.
Chino's right. So,
but you got to try Toshigan now. You got to try my spot.
Okay, I got it now. That's good though. I like trying to do different spots.
We only got 6 seats at our space, so we gotta make it a date night.
Yeah.
Okay. Ever has to.
Yeah. I don't have fish, so that's gonna be.
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one. Yeah, Chef is very.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. He's an artist of a different level.
Yeah, and
he's just.
I get that. I've been. I used to go to Japanese spot like Hama Sushi.
Yeah.
Was my spot for years. Downtown, Little Tokyo. That was the spot. It was like you eat what he gives you, and that's it.
Yeah.
That was the spot, and like I had a lot of spots like that. In, I mean, obviously Nobu, but now it's a big fancy chain.
And you mentioned entrepreneurship and running businesses and whatnot. What would be the one thing that you've learned kind of, and one thing I say to people as business owners and whatnot, we all kind of do the one thing that we do, but if you chunk up kind of one level, we're all business owners and entrepreneurs. And what would be kind of the, maybe a quick, like one story that you learned as an entrepreneur that would have, maybe the mistake that you learned that if you wouldn't do that again because it would cost you a bunch of money or something like that?
I would say to take everything under your own, as much as you want it. The world's greatest salesman, when I read that book, one line that stood out for me was outsource anything you're less than excellent at.
Cool. That's good.
And I agree with that. However, the flip side of that is be careful, because I had a distributor who ripped me off for years because I gave him authority to print, reproduce, market, and distribute all my work without really understanding how the business worked.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I was able to take it all in. What with that comes responsibility. So really know your business, know your market, and stay on top of it.
Yeah.
Because the second you let anybody else deal with your business, you're unless you outsource anything you're less than excellent at, like you got to really just be in it. And if you're not in it, then it's not for you. And that's with anything. Like as a painter, if I'm not in it, then I shouldn't be doing it anymore. I should just hang on my brushes. I got to be deeply committed to it. It is a complete love affair with paint, and my commitment to be a painter and to be excellent and to do it every time to get better. But you got to be on top of it. And that's for the business side too.
It's interesting. And I agree 100%. A lot of times when business is going really well, you can see your top line going up and up and up. And a lot of times we're not necessarily looking at the bottom line, right? If expenses are going up at the same pace as income, then technically you're not more profitable.
That's right.
You're just spending more money, right? And so, to your point of saying like, look, knowing all, like every part of your business doesn't necessarily mean you have to run that part of the business. You can hire people for that, but you need to be able to just kind of peek behind the curtain and be like, hey, this isn't running appropriately, and you're actually taking money right now from me. This is not good.
Yeah, that's what you outsource to somebody who does it better. I mean, Peter Paul Rubens, one of the greatest painters of all time, he had 100 people in his factory. Warhol had a factory. Everybody has these ateliers. Rembrandt had an atelier. He had 20, 30 artists painting for him, but Rubens was the most successful. And he had everybody that he had, he trained. This is my lion guy. This is my landscape guy. This is my whatever. Nobody was as good as him holistically as an artist, painting, as a painter, as a draftsman. Probably one of the greatest draftsmen, top 10 of all time. But he couldn't do all.
Mm-hmm.
He had so many commissions worldwide. He had to have a school. He had to have an atelier.
Mm-hmm.
But he was on top of it. So he outsourced to that guy because he knew he was the best lion guy. Maybe he's even better than him at lions.
Mm-hmm.
And him at the figure. No one was better at anybody at him than the Figure. But he had that guy who was almost as good. And then he would come in and touch it up. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the process. But that's a good example of somebody who knew his business inside and out and hired everybody, not only hired everybody, personally trained them up to the highest level, to where everybody was at a high level to be under the master. And they were they were an important cog in the machine of excellence.
Dude, that is, you're absolutely right. Like, that's what we want to do, right? With every vertical that you have going on, even for you and even for myself, right? To be able to have a high functioning knowledge of it, to train somebody, but then also to trust that person.
Yeah.
Right. Because then that person in theory could have then been like, hey, I'm the best lion or tiger, artist in the world. And now I'm going to go take that skill and then just go do that really well for myself, potentially.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't need that lion guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go spread your wings and paint lions. That's fine.
Man, just one last question. If you could have a dinner with one artist, dead or alive, and it can be musician, painter, who would that be?
That's a good question. I would probably say Rembrandt, only because I think he's the greatest painter that's ever lived. That's not only because, that's a big one.
Yeah.
He was the best, in my opinion, best painter, because he was able to, technically, he was a virtuoso, but he painted emotionally and spiritually. And those two don't usually come together.
Right.
You're either a virtuoso, like a John Singer Sargent or Andre Zorn or Dean Cornwell, or you're a wonderful creative spirit like a Van Gogh, right, for a Manet. But he was both. He was kind of married and fused technical prowess with emotional and spiritual excellence. He was able to paint the soul within the sitter, or the soul within himself. He did over 70 self-portraits. So I just want to get into that. Like, what are you, and who, it could be who knows what it could be. But I would want to get into that.
Yeah.
Of course I would want to say Prince and everything, but I don't know enough about, for sure, what Prince does, but I would like to meet Prince, because Prince is the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe Michael.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan. You're like, just everybody that I would want to meet would be the best at what they did.
Yeah.
Like, Prince was the best at what he did, Michael Jackson the best at what he did, Michael Jordan the best at what he did, and then Rembrandt the best at what he did. But I would say Rembrandt will be in top hall.
Awesome. That's dope, man. Yeah, I think I would probably be, my first would probably be Jay-Z, only because...
I was going to say me, but I'm here, so okay, well, I'm off the list. Then.
Yeah, I'm here. This is it. Only because of his business prowess. Oh, not only because, but just the way that he moves business-wise, to me is almost, it's like another art, essentially.
Do you think that Jay-Z, though, the reason that he moves that way is not because, I'm not saying he's naturally not a businessman or a hustler, obviously, but do you think he's got just a phenomenal team? Like, he's got those key 2-3 people that are just wizards. And like Rick Rubin, he's able to connect the dots. Like, he's not the best guitar player, he's not the best producer in a technical way, but he's the best at connecting the dots. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think that what I think he's probably really good at is setting the chessboard.
Yeah.
Right. He's the person that's going to teach this person how to be the best person that's going to be drawing lions. He's the person that's going to be the person that's going to teach the person to draw the figures. Right. He's going to be the maestro behind the scenes, essentially. But then you also have to be able to not only have that kind of ability to put people together, but then also to be willing to even sometimes just take the initiative. A lot of times people don't even try at the end of the day. And so if trying, it puts you at the top, let's say 60, 70%, then your ability to kind of just see the whole battlefield, so to speak, as kind of a metaphor, seems like he does that extremely well, and just see how like kind of all the pieces interlock together. Everything from bringing, Kanye, Young Guru, and Just together for his producers for Rockefeller, to becoming the CEO of Def Jam and stepping away, then coming back, and just like, I think he's genius. Certainly genius level on that, and
he's got an IQ for business that's naturally high.
Absolutely. And so for me, that would be one of those people that I would just love to be able to pick their brain on stuff like that.
Okay. I'll put you in touch with them.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Well, cool. You heard it here first, guys. Jay-Z's got to be on here next time. I appreciate you. Man,
Paul's the real deal. He's legitimately a good person, a kind person, very generous person, and a real person. And that's, coming from LA for the last 20 years and dealing with the people that we all deal with in life, it's a rare thing, especially now. So I always tell everybody, Paul's very rare. He's like a good, legitimately kind, generous human being.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
No, I feel that way for sure.
Dope. And Justin, thank you so much for coming by. Dude, absolutely love the block. Also love all your work.
Thank you.
By the way, like he sends me, he just sends me random photos. And the last one I was like, dude, you're an asshole. Like, just stop sending me stuff.
The Ali painting.
Yeah. And I'm currently 0-1 in a boxing match, but I've fought, wanted to know what it was like to box. So, by the way, I wouldn't recommend it. It is like the most nerve-wracking thing in the world in front of 2,500 people. But having said that, I love everything that Ali represents as well. So, if you wouldn't mind, just maybe, if you hadn't sold that one or not, at some point down the road, just stash it away.
I'll put it on the side.
Awesome. Bro, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.